everyone. My name is Dujan.
And I'm Shazib.
You're watching You Multicultural Civic Platform. Today we have a very special guest, Yasmin Ali. She is the president of the Canadian Muslim Women's Institute and was recently recognized for her volunteer work by the Manitoba government as a recipient of the Queen Elizabeth Platinum Jubilee Medal.
Welcome, Yasmin.
Thank you very much.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so I'll start off by asking, can you tell us a bit about yourself? Where were you born and raised?
I was born in a small island called Trinidad. It's a country, Trinidad and Tobago, two little islands that makes up one country. I grew up there and spent most of my life as a teenager. Came here to go to university, went back to Trinidad for a few years and eventually ended up here.
Our next question actually is about how you came to Winnipeg and what are some of your early memories of the Muslims in Winnipeg?
I came to Winnipeg to go to the University of Manitoba. I came with my sister. We came here for a few years. We lived here for actually 4 years before going back to Trinidad. So coming here as a student, I didn't know anyone here. However, my uncle back in Trinidad knew someone here, knew Dr. Jamil Ali, who was the president of the Manitoba Islamic Association. So he made some introductions, and then he took me under his wing with his family, my sister and myself, and introduced us to the Muslim community, to his kids, and to other families who had kids. The Muslim community at that time was, in the 70s, was much smaller than it is now. And it was easier to get to know people and to make friends. So my early memories of the community was one of welcoming, warm, everybody helping each other, and especially they helped the students, because a lot of the Muslims here that I met has gone to university here and was living here, so they were sympathetic towards other students coming to go to school here and knowing they had no families here.
All right, wonderful. So can you tell our audience a bit about the organization you're a part of, CMWI?
Okay, the Canadian Muslim Women's Institute was started almost 17 years ago. July this year will be 17 years it has been in operation. It started off very small, and the aim was to help newcomer women to settle in Winnipeg. A lot of the newcomers were coming from refugee situations. When they come here, the government has a program where they would give them information for a month when they first come, tell them what are things that they need to do or what Winnipeg is like and other services offered. But can you imagine coming from trauma into a new country where you don't speak the language, you're given a lot of information. Yes, it's done with interpretation, but it's not something that you retain, and we found that they needed help after that. So we started off as a very small women's organization offering services to these newcomers, and it worked really well in the sense that we had, they came to us for information and just how to navigate the systems, where to get clothing, appropriate clothing, how to get halal food, the basics they would need to settle in, how to take the bus, things like that. The organization eventually grew. We started with 2 part-time staff, and 16 and a half years later, we are at 16 full-time staff. We started off occupying a small one-room space, which we shared with Islamic Social Services Association. Then, because ISA was one of the first organizations that sort of, Sister Shahina helped to get this organization going. But once it was established, the board was formed, then they sort of divided into two separate entities, 2 separate organizations. So we moved from the room that we shared at ISA, and we went to the Winnipeg Central Mosque, where we operated out of there from 2 small rooms, and eventually we are at a space now where we have 3,500 square feet, and we are looking for more space.
Great.
Wow.
The programs has increased from everything from not just giving information about life in Canada, basic information, It's gone to helping them with employment, with financial empowerment, and mental health and wellness, physical activity. We've taken on quite a lot, and it's we doing what the client tells us that they want, their needs are. So we do focus groups, we get the information from them that what their needs are, and then we try to design programs to fill those needs.
Wonderful.
Wow, you've covered a lot in your answer. I was gonna ask, like, why was you kind of answered already, why was this started, but is there a certain thing that triggered it, or was this just, you know, like, what is the history of the start of this organization?
I think the history was that we noticed that there were a lot of women needing help, asking for help, and there was no one Muslim organization doing this. There were 4 newcomers. The services are offered by mainstream, you know, organizations that help newcomers, but they didn't understand the cultural aspects, the religious aspects of the newcomers and what they needed. So we felt that this is something that we can do to help the newcomers from the Muslim faith, Muslim background. A lot of the refugees and newcomers come from places like the Middle East. You know, you have a lot of Iraqis, Somalis, Syrians, all different countries in the Middle East, as well as from the African countries. And a lot of them are Muslims, and they needed a special type of help that they weren't getting. So we felt that as a group, as a Muslim group, we had the capacity and the ability to help them in a unique way that other mainstream organizations could not help. And we found that they felt comfortable with us, they're happy to come to us, and up to this day, you know, they get referrals to, when they first come in, they refer to a counselor in the mainstream organization. They hear about CMWI, they come to us, and they don't want to go anywhere else. So it's that feeling of serving a unique need, a unique demographic that we are able to do because of our, you know, our background.
Nice.
Wonderful. All right, so as you answered, like, it's been around 17 years for CMW. So a lot has changed during that time. So would you like to explain some changes like you have noticed since you started and the present time right now?
Changes into...
Like, obviously community has grown, and also like nowadays social media is quite accessible, and there are like refugees and their reaction whenever you like train them, and how do you feel? Is it easier right now, or was it easier?
Well, you know, there are 2 answers to that. In one, it is easier now in the sense of the outreach that we can do. Because of social media, we are able to reach a wider group of people. And now the organization has become so mainstream, like CMWI started off as, you know, a small little community organization. But we have become known within all the other mainstream organizations that now refer clients to us. So we have grants from the government, federal, as well as provincial governments, as well as things like United Way, Winnipeg Foundation, everybody, and they know who we are. So our reach is wider because of just people knowing who we are and what we do. So our client base has increased a lot, and we find it's easy to get clients. We don't struggle for clients whatsoever. It's like we have more work than we can manage. Now it's becoming not as easy to know the clients as we did when we first started. Then it was easier to get to know each person's life. There weren't as many of them coming. You know, the staff got to know them more on a personal basis. Like, you know, we didn't treat them like, you know, like a client. They're like another family member, and they feel comfortable coming to CMWI and knowing the staff and becoming more like their friends and helping them. So it has become easier in some ways, and then there's a little bit that you lose in another way.
That's great though, like at least you know that your organization has grown and now you just need more space, more help, more money probably.
Oh, funding is always an issue.
Yeah.
Funding is always an issue as like with most nonprofit. So there are lots more that we can do, but because of our capacity in terms of staffing and funding, you know, we have to limit it to tailor it to what we can do best, and what the direct needs of the clients and how we can impact them. And I believe, you know, in like no one organization can do everything. And if there's another organization that can do something better than us, we make the referral to them.
Yeah, thank you. So my next question is, you are well known in our community, you've been here a while, and you're very recognized for your volunteer work. I just wanted to ask, like, what motivates you and drives you to volunteer as much as you do?
You know, that's a great question, as they say. I guess number one, I have time. So I'm able to do that. I have a very supportive family who allows me to do what I do. Also, I feel that I'm very blessed in my life, in the situation that I don't have to go out there and you know, have a job from 9 to 5. So I feel that this is the best way that I can use my time to serve the community, to serve not just my community, the Muslim community, but to serve the wider Winnipeg community that I live in, because I call Winnipeg my home. My kids say they are Winnipeggers. So how can I serve everybody as best as I can? And to me, this is another form of sadaqah, it's a form of charity. It's how do I answer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for what He has given me, what did I spend my time doing, right? So I feel this is a good use of my time. And if I can help in some way, whoever it is needs my help, I will do it. So that drives me to help and to volunteer in all the various activities that I do.
Great. All right, so next question is, because you have a lot of expertise in this field, and it is for the people who like to volunteer for the community. So would you like to give any kind of piece of advice for them?
Well, I think if you want to volunteer, I think that's great. But I think when you start volunteering, you should start in something that you feel comfortable in. So if you like working with kids, maybe volunteer in a youth program. If you like sports, maybe assist a coach in soccer or whatever it is you do. So start off with something that you like. Ask your friends around who are volunteering where they volunteer, and then start with a small time commitment. And if you are really having fun, if you're really enjoying it, if you see you're making a difference, then you can increase your time commitment. So, but it's, you know, when you volunteer, it must be something you enjoy, and you must feel that you're making a contribution.
It's very true. Are there any goals or projects you're working on right now?
Maybe retirement? I'm just kidding. Not really. I'm just trying to, my goal is to try to give CMWI make it the best that it can be, and offer the best services, and be really helpful to the community that we have. And just to do whatever I can to help wherever the help is needed.
Great. All right, so I'd like to ask you if you can share any kind of nice or fun memory which you made while working for CMWI, or maybe volunteering for the community. Any proud moment or?
I'm going to stop here for a minute and try to think about it.
Take your time.
Fun moment.
There are a lot of them, so you have to choose which one, right?
Yeah, just any like moment that stuck out to you.
Maybe fun or nice or inspiring story.
You know, okay, so an inspiring story for me was when we were doing a group session with some of the newcomer women, and they've been here for a while, and they said to me after there was this woman who was blind, and she said to me that she was so thankful for the work that CMWI was doing, because she felt all alone, she didn't know anybody, and just being here made her feel at home. She made friends, she got to know people, and they were very caring, and people came to help her. So it made my heart happy to hear that we helped someone feel, comfortable, happy, gave her some friends and a social life, and when she was just feeling all alone. And there are lots of moments like that. Like I remember going to, someone had asked me to come to one of the Manitoba housing complex because they were offering programs, and none of the Muslim women were coming out. And I went and brought them, and we started chatting and talking about the programs and got them involved. And they said to me, we all live here and we don't know each other. And because you brought us together in a program, now we're friends. Now I have a friend. We can take the bus and go downtown together. And our kids now play together, because before they just stayed in their apartment isolated among themselves because they were afraid to come out. They didn't know, what the outside was like. So just to know that I can bring people together and give them a better quality of life is really important to me.
What are some things you think our Muslim community should improve on for the future?
Well, one of the things that comes to mind really is I would love to see our youth get more involved in non-profit work, in the social work area, because a lot of us have been doing this for a while, and we need people to take over what we're doing. And we need staff, we need leaders in organizations, and I'm talking about paid positions here. I'm not talking about volunteer work. And I know a lot of our youth, they volunteer, they do things, but for them, their goal is to become a doctor, a lawyer, engineer, and they don't see themselves in this role as helping and being the head of an organization and working. And I would like to see a lot of the youth come out in these roles and look at it as a career, because it is very fulfilling, very rewarding to work in this area. And this is what I would like to say to the youth, to take this more seriously, not just as a volunteer position in an organization, but how can I help an organization move forward? And also I would like to see them, not just also getting involved in other areas of their community, of the Winnipeg community, because I feel by working, even volunteering in other areas, the mainstream can see us as, wow, these Muslims, they don't stay among themselves. They consider themselves Winnipeggers. They are part of our community, right?
Yes.
And that's why my volunteer work is not limited to the Muslim community. I volunteer in many other areas of Winnipeg and in other, so that I can, make people understand that, we have a lot to contribute. Muslim Winnipeggers are very important members of this community, and you need to look at us and come to us for when we need things, that you can help us, and we can then help you in when you have elections and stuff like that. That our vote is important.
Great. All right. So before leaving, would you like to add anything for our audience which we might have missed or something?
I would like to appeal to the Winnipeg community to visit our website at the Canadian Muslim Women's Institute, CMWI.ca, and see the programs that we have. We always need volunteers to assist with our programs, with help. We need drivers, we need people to work in our volunteer area of clothing and food donations, and to help us in whichever way that you can. If you have a particular skill, then just come and let us know, and we will be happy to find a place for you.
I'd like to thank Yasmin for coming to this interview, and I'd like to add, people like Yasmin are the ones who make our community strong and proud. That's all for today's interview. I hope you guys liked today's show. Don't forget to like and subscribe You Multicultural.